I've long thought that the problem with this particular bill is that we all become rather high-handed about talking about the hereditary peers as though they are the epitome of anti-democracy in this House. But to be honest with you, we've all been appointed, none of us were elected, and therefore it seems to me that that's a way of feeling good about ourselves by looking down on the hereditaries, when in fact none of us have a legitimate right to be here. That to one side. Well, I did have a lot of regard for the spirit of the noble Lord Newby's previous amendment on looking for a democratic way of electing a second chamber. The spirit, at least, of that was that the demos and the people should decide, and I really regarded that well. Yet this leading amendment in the group, in the name of the noble Lord Newby, seems to be the epitome of the opposite of that last amendment, because this is all about anti-democracy. It gives the ultimate power to an unelected committee, answerable to no one, and the noble Lord Butler of Brockwell explained that very well, and there have been follow-on speeches that have expanded on it. Moving the amendment, the noble Lord Wallace asked to imagine if the Prime Minister, or indeed he said President, may not be a good chap or chapess. And I did wonder who would decide who is good, what is good. Would it be Holac or the noble Lord Wallace? And it's possible that he and I would not agree. The whole tone was that constitutional guardrails would be set up by those who know better, who are more ethical or more virtuous, just in case the voters voted in the wrong way and voted in a wrong one. And we all know that this is a nod to having a go at the previous Prime Minister Boris Johnson. It's about President Trump, not about President Biden. It's got a partisan feel to it. When it comes to legislation, I am very worried about how many Henry VIII powers there are being used at present, the number of statutory instruments that are contained in bills. I said that and argued that when they were put forward by the Conservative government, and indeed agreed with many people in the Labour Party in opposition about that anti-democratic trend. But I'm sad to see that with Labour in government, there are even more Henry VIII powers and even more statutory instruments. In other words, I do think we should be worried by an anti-democratic trend that we are witnessing. But if we have to have a second chamber of the Lords, if we are going to appoint people, at least let's retain the notion that the Prime Minister who has got a democratic mandate should be the person who decides it, rather than an unelected committee. Just a note on the virtues of unelected expert committees. I'm absolutely fine with them as advisory, but not in charge. This morning, we heard, in relation to a discussion on the infamous door that has cost a fortune and doesn't work, that ugly fence that is an antisocial insult that looks like a barrier between this House and the public, that was all agreed on by a very worthy committee. And none of us even knew it was happening because they were unanswerable. We couldn't even, at the end of that discussion, I still couldn't work out who had made the decision. It was even more opaque than a Prime Minister deciding on who gets in this House. In other words, having a committee does not make it okay. Just finally, can I speak in favour of being partisan and taking sides? I'm all for the virtues of the crossbenches, but there is something that seems to me to be wrong about this notion that the crossbenches are full of the great and the good, who are experts, and that somehow they are superior to anyone who's got an opinion or a passion or a principle, because they know more than the rest of us. And I appreciate that I never joined the crossbenches. I didn't somehow get invited. I'm just pointing out.
Dodged a bullet.
They are apparently independent, but not that independent. So there's a group of us who are sort of maverick. We're called non-affiliated. God knows what it means. But I do actually think that it's very important that we defend the right to be political, to be partisan, to actually say, I'm not an expert, but I absolutely believe in this. If we're going to exist in here at all, can we at least have some purpose beyond saying how many PhDs we've got or how many charities we've run? The great and the good are great and good. But the writing of laws in this country, being legislators, being political, is not just about that. I am, of course, as frustrated as anyone about the way that party politics, the whipping process and so on, can damage political independence and courage on all sides of this House. We've witnessed it tonight. We've witnessed it in the other place today over the last few days. I mean, that annoys me, because I do want people to believe in something. But on the other hand, I think the danger of saying that we're a house of experts and that we're now going to have an expert HOLAC group who are going to decide on how many more experts they'll bring in, is that what we're doing is we're kicking politics out of what should be an absolutely political place.